So I've got that port ceiling cleaned up now, at least. I mean, it's sanded with my linear sander, and I fine-tuned some of the edges and got things cleaned up. I did make an adjustment. If you look close, you can see there's a bigger gap on that side of that frame and gusset. This side, well, what I wanted to do is push it forward a little bit so the gap in between the front edge of all these planks and the edge of those boards is roughly the same. My plan is actually to have it be like that. I'm going to have a plywood piece on this bulkhead that'll be in between those two gussets, so it will not be on the outside like that. That's my plan. But anyway, I've got it now. The bend, if you remember, I epoxied this in place so the bend would be sort of set in place. Well, it worked, but not. It's still going to take a fair amount of force to screw that in. It's, you know, just to pull it that last little bit, which should be okay. But I just need to keep that in mind. The other thing I was able to do is the positioning of this, I've got a little play, and I was able to, it came down, I was able to move it down a little bit and make it parallel with that floorboard. And so that gap is not, it's a little under a quarter inch. I mean, it's perfect actually. So I'm really happy with how that's going to be. And then you can see it parallel with that floor back there, which you'll never see it, but at least it looks good. Because remember, the front seat will be here, and then the buddy seat will be the other side, so that part won't even be showing. But anyway, that's what it looks like, and I'm real happy with it. So now what I'm going to do, I guess I'm going to need to, at some point, actually drill the screw holes and figure out how that's going to mount. Now the support pieces that go behind there, I need to epoxy those in place, and then also I need to encapsulate the back of this, because I knocked off of those epoxy nails that poke through, and so I will give it another coat of encapsulating epoxy, but yeah, it looks good. So I'm getting there with my starboard side ceiling panel in the front cockpit. So the only strips I have left to epoxy is this half one down here, and then that one along the top. So I'm going to pull that panel out, and I'll end up doing that over here on my table. I have the port side out there because what I'm going to do next here is I've got supports. There's like piece there, and you can see that strip just on that side of that frame, and right there, those are what hold that ceiling panel. So it's going to get screwed to that one and screwed to this piece, and then I'll probably just do a couple screws there. Haven't totally figured that out yet, but I need to epoxy these in place, and I'm also going to do the ones that are on the starboard side. So I'm gonna pull this panel out so I can do that, and then here pretty soon I'm gonna, like I mentioned, if I turn this down here, I'll epoxy those last two strips on there. So that's what's coming. So I got the last two strips done on that starboard side ceiling panel, the half one there at the bottom, and then this one at the top. And like I did on the port side, I just used clamps. I did not use the little wooden washers and my composite nails. So that's done, and while that is drying, like I talked also about in the last video, that support piece there, I talked about the support piece on the port side, which it's the same starboard side, that piece there, and then there's one little one there and one little one right there. That's what the ceiling panel attaches to. I did get those epoxied in And what I do need to do though is do another layer of encapsulating epoxy on this front edge of those two boards. And then over here, show it from the other side. There's that support piece there, and then those two that I showed before, again, those are epoxied in. But on the front side of that support piece, and that one I do need to encapsulate one more coat. And then that part of that frame, I've got to do 2 coats of encapsulating epoxy, so I'm going to do my first coat of that also. I had to sand that away to make that ceiling panel fit in there better. So I'll be doing that next. So I've got my left ceiling in position where I want it. I already drilled my first one screw right up there. You can just see it. I'm only going to have 1 screw down there, but I'm going to have a row of them here. So I'm using my laser to mark just this side of that frame. Well, my support piece, it goes up there. And so I'm going to use a laser because I want it to be straight up and down. And right now the boat is pretty much level front to back. It's maybe 1/10 of a degree off, but close enough. And so I'm going to mark that. I'll drill my holes and run screws up there. Now on the back here, I'm not sure I'll do a whole row. I might just do 3 because that's not going to show back there. But here, this will show. And the ceilings in the back of the boat, I already have drilled like that up and down. So that's where things are at the moment. And the starboard side, what I'll do is I was checking kind of the gap from the gap between that plank to there, up to that board and up here, because remember what I'm doing is I'm making it parallel to this flooring here. That's what I wanted. That way it'll just match that floor. Different ways to do it. It's hard. It's all curved and it's kind of tricky. I struggled figuring out how I was gonna do this. I want to make sure both sides are the same as far as the gap from the top, because you would see that. I mean, somebody may not know this, but I want as close as possible. I mean, these pieces are not exactly the same, and the boat's not exactly the same on both sides. Surprise, surprise. But and then what I did is I used this. It's actually a sliding glass door. We don't use it, but I have one, and I was able to shove that in there, clamp this on, and to push that board back, because it's, even though when I glued these pieces, I glued them in place to help hold that shape, which it did, but there's still close to 1 inch where I have to shove it back. So anyway, that's where things are at the moment. And there we have it. Got my screws holding that in the center, and I decided just to put 2 in the back to kind of match the 2 in the front. And so yeah, that is looking good. Now I'm going to work on the starboard side. What I need to do first is where my throttle is mounted. If you remember from an earlier video, there's a hole here. Well, the hole's in the plywood backing. Now I need to get that hole in these planks. So I'm going to be working on that next. And then I'll attach this, get all the screws in, just like that. And then once I get that in, what I want to do is actually put my front seat back in and see if I've got enough spacing on the front side. I'm afraid that the seat is going to be actually sitting down here. I'm afraid that edge on the front on both sides is going to be a little close, so I may have to do some more rework on that. I hope I don't have to do that because I've already done it once. So, but if I have to, I have to. And then also what I'll be doing soon, and we'll see, is I want to locate these floorboards and actually screw them down, so that'll get them in position. And I also need to do that for the front flooring, which is not in here. That's just a scrap piece. And get that in so it's screwed, so I know where the location of those pieces are. Location is for those. So that's what's going on. I got the starboard side ceiling mounted, and I've got the throttle in there. It's not hooked up yet, but I'm just seeing what it looks like with everything attached. And I did not need to rework my seats. You can see there's enough room there. I may round that a little, but I don't think I'm going to need to. I'll see, because it's pretty close. But anyway, I was glad that I didn't need to rework the seats themselves. I mean, there's plenty of room here. I don't know what I was thinking. I planned on having plenty of room, and there is. But the seat bottoms, they're a little close. But anyway, so I've got that all attached, and glad about that, and I was glad I was able to get the seat in good, and I like how that throttle looks. It's going to be awesome. And so now what I'm going to do is, like I mentioned, next thing I'll work on is, I think, get the flooring attached, screwed down at least where it's going to go. That way it's located. And then, of course, I need to encapsulate and stuff, so. But yeah, it's looking great. I'm excited about it.